Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well again. Um, I'm going to just start real quick, but I hope that everybody's doing well, and you should contact me um, via Edmodo every day if you can. Okay, so having said that, let's get on to our continuing lecture on the new conservatives as they emerged after 1848. 1848 was the last great liberal revolution. That is where liberals, Democrats, and later on even socialists all came together to overthrow the great traditionalist monarchies. They were initially successful, but then because there were different groups with different agendas, they basically came apart, and then they were defeated by the forces of traditional order. Now, even those forces, that is, the traditional monarchies, had to embrace elements of the former liberal program, that is, nationalism in particular, and universal male suffrage, to survive and to compete effectively in a new political world after the Industrial Revolution. So after the Industrial Revolution, what you have is a transformation of the political process from one that pit liberals, Democrats against the traditional monarchies, as it had been the case during the French Revolution and even into the period of reaction under Metternich's system in the Congress of Vienna, to after 1848, where you had conservatives. And now this basically brought together liberals and traditional monarchists into an alliance, and that was the new conservatism against the socialist, Marxist socialist in particular, but also anarchist and other types of revolutionaries. That's essentially what happens after 1848. And then the period after 1848, the period of unification, where Italy is unified under a conservative prime minister, Count Camillo Cavour, and with the assistance of Napoleon III. And you have liberals joining that effort effectively and leaving the revolutionary groups behind. So Italy is unified under these new conservatives, who then embrace representational government, universal male suffrage, and nationalism as legitimizing ideologies or institutions. Otto von Bismarck, is the most effective of these new conservatives because he unifies Germany by using means that were traditionally conservative, but by convincing liberals that if they did not support him, they would fail to unify Germany. And since liberals, since the Frankfurt Assembly of 1848, and even before that, had seen unification as a goal, as an essential goal of their political program, if they had not given Bismarck support, they would have been blamed for the lack of unity in Germany, and they weren't prepared to do that. So in 1862, they voted Bismarck his increased military budget and the additional year of military service. And then by 1865, Bismarck was using that to wage limited wars to unify Germany. The first war was Prussia against Denmark over the states of Schleswig and Holstein, which had been German states but were ruled by the Danish king. In 1848, German nationalists had tried to seize those states and had failed. They had been defeated by the Danes in a humiliating defeat. Bismarck, 1865, wages a war against the Danes and is quite effective. He defeats them quickly. He also creates an alliance with Austria. Now there were two strategies to unify Germany. The first strategy is called the Greater Germany strategy, or the Großen Deutschland strategy, which basically said that Austria and its ruling dynasty, the Habsburgs, should rule a unified Germany. The argument against that was that Austria had an empire that was multinational. It was not nationalistic. That is, it brought together many disparate nationalities under the rule of the Habsburgs, so that it was a traditional monarchy that could not really embrace nationalism, because it would have torn the empire apart. And therefore, that was an argument that was used against the Austrians leading a unified Germany. The other strategy was the lesser, or the smaller German strategy, and that was the Kleiner Deutschland strategy. And that said that Prussia, which was the most German of all the leading German states, was the a necessary leader of German unification, because it was primarily German. This is the strategy that Bismarck adopted, because it called for Prussian leadership to unify Germany. And although he brought in Austria into an alliance against Denmark, he later turned on the Austrians and defeated them in a subsequent war in 1866. By doing so, he was able to bring together all the North German states under Prussian leadership. Prussia had also had an advantage. It was the Zollverein, which was an economic union that Prussia led and did not allow Austria to join. That was a very, very important element, because it brought German unity, economic unity, under Prussian leadership. Then Bismarck engineered a war against the French, because there were southern German states which were essentially Catholic and opposed Prussian leadership. But when Bismarck is able to engineer a war against the French by using a Spanish crown, no less, he's able to bring in these German states to follow him. And then once he defeats the French in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, Bismarck is able to then unify all of Germany as the Second Reich, or the German Empire of 1871. That's going to last until the end of the First World War, when the Kaiser Wilhelm II has to abdicate after a revolution. I'm going to stop now with this, but what you need to remember is Bismarck's also Realpolitik. Bismarck is a master of real politics. That is, politics that are not encumbered or shaped by ideology, but rather use ideology to achieve real national goals, the enhancement of national power. Okay, bye.